So this evening, I am thrilled to be talking to Venetia Williams ahead of next week's Cheltenham Festival. Hi, Venetia. Thank you so much for having a chat with me.
Hi, Panda. Evening.
Good evening. It's great to talk to you. Now, you've been in the game for a long time now. Who and what inspired you to be a trainer?
Oh gosh, it's hard to say. I can't say there's any one person in particular, but like a lot of people, I rode ponies as a child. Spent a lot of time doing pony club and hunting. Went to the local point to points then, so it wasn't very difficult to treble one's pocket money by backing the favourites. And then my grandparents got involved in flat racing. They got left some money and bought 2 yearling fillies, and from those yearling fillies, my grandfather ended up breeding and having some lovely mares in training. And in fact, my grandfather was the first person to give Peter Walwyn a horse to train when he first started training.
Fantastic.
That's a long time ago, as you can imagine. So I obviously got interested in watching flat racing while I was at school through them, and then I started riding in point to points, and worked in racing one way or another ever since, before actually starting training myself.
Yeah, fantastic. Because you had to stop, didn't you? Point to pointing yourself. Did you break?
Yeah,
your neck? Was it?
I did. Yes. I had. I was actually lucky enough to have a ride in the Grand National and fell at Beecher's Brook. But it wasn't in that fall. It was my next ride, which was about 2 weeks later, that I had a fall at Worcester in a hurdle race and broke my neck, broke the hangman's bone. I was very lucky.
Very lucky.
Very lucky to walk out of hospital 2 months later. So that was the end of race riding.
But
I was assistant trainer to John Edwards at the time. So it sort of continued in that role for quite a while, and before actually starting on my own.
Fantastic. And what do you find the most rewarding part of the job, and the most challenging? Do you think it's dealing with the owners?
Gosh. I'd be a liar if I didn't say I enjoyed winning, because I think don't we all really? I think anybody who didn't put that sort of fairly high on the list would be kidding themselves and trying to kid everybody else. So of course we enjoy that. But we also enjoy the sort of, well, certainly I do, the camaraderie spirit with not only my staff in the yard but the owners, and one regards the owners as a whole team of owners, as a group. So we sink and swim together. And it's great when things go well, and we do enjoy the winners, most certainly.
You can. That's the thing, isn't it, with racing? It's a certain family. Well, I think anything with horses, where horses are involved, whether it's racing, eventing, whatever, everyone goes through such highs and such lows together.
Exactly. If we like everything is relative. If we didn't have the lows, we wouldn't appreciate the highs, and that's life.
And Venetia, you have enjoyed an absolutely fantastic season so far. And how are you feeling about the festival next week?
I'm feeling that, as you quite rightly said, we've had a great time so far. It's been a lot of the horses have performed fantastically, and whatever might happen, good or bad, next week, one can't take away what's been achieved. And I'm sort of slightly, one's always trying to sort of not to set oneself up for disappointment. And I know, we're lucky enough to have some horses to go and contest the Grade 1, certainly more than I've ever had before. You know, but they've all got it to do, and I think, you know, if we have any luck in the Cotswolds next week, you know, we'll regard it as a bonus. But obviously hope they all run well and
yes,
come back safely, and
well,
just hope the best.
Very exciting. Now I know you've had a slight bug in the yard. Have your main Cheltenham hopes managed to, well, hopefully managed to avoid it so far?
Sort of, you know, there's it's not been a terrible bug, but it has been fairly rife. You know, and it's like the common cold, which we all get. You know, I'd liken it to the cold rather than to COVID.
Yes.
In that, you know, they've not been sick.
No.
You know, but it has touched, you know, a large number of them.
And
you know,
I guess with you know, like us having a cold or something, actually it affects them all differently. You know, some of us sort of don't feel rotten with it and can keep going, and I guess it's probably the same, isn't it, with horses?
The trouble with this, it's hard to actually know, because of course they can't speak, although they do try and talk to us, you know, in the best way they can. But at the stage of the season that we're at, we're not actually doing hard work with the horses.
No.
You know, you really don't want to be doing that. You know, this is March. And it's only when you do hard work with them that it actually sort of tells you those sort of answers. So you've got to, you know, have a leap of faith, really, to a certain extent.
Oh, well, fingers very, very much crossed. And I mean, obviously, how many have you got entered next week?
We don't know. We've got quite a few that are in handicaps that may or may not get in. But I suspect we'll probably have 9 or 10, I think, for the week.
Gosh, lots. So exciting. And which couple are you sort of most excited about?
Well, Long Press is, there's a lot of chat been going on regarding him. You know, he's unbeaten so far over fences this season. So, you know, obviously, you know, we're excited about him. We haven't decided yet which race he's going to run in. It depends how much rain comes, if any. Hopefully we will get some, but
we're going to get some, well, quite a lot tomorrow.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right.
It looks, well, who knows?
I don't know exactly. Knowing the Cotswolds, it'll sort of swerve around the race course, and
hopefully not.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I hope they get a lot of rain, but anyway, we'll see. If we get plenty of rain, he'll run in the 2.5 mile novice chase.
Yeah.
If we don't, we'll probably step him up to 3 miles.
Okay. Yeah.
And they keep changing the names of these races, so
I know I can't keep up with.
That's right. So yeah, it's either the Brown Advisory, which is the 3 miles, or the Turners, which is the 2.5. I think.
Yeah. And how do you, just sort of talking about the ground and stuff, what are your sort of feelings and thoughts on watering?
Well, it is essential if the ground has got that dry, you know. But you know, ideally you don't want to have to, because rain from the heavens is a lot more effective and more consistent, and it's much, you know, it's so natural. It's what ideally you want. But you know, if it's been drying, you know, you cannot leave the ground. You know, go firm, because it's not rocket science to know that that's when the worst of the injuries takes place, when you're asking horses to race you know, on the dry ground. Yeah. So, you know, you can't let that happen. But
no.
Hopefully it won't be necessary.
No, exactly. What is your most memorable win at the festival that you've had? Hopefully next week's going to be another one, but but today
it'd be nice to be able to add. Probably when we had the 1-2, we had first and second, in the plate.
Yeah.
In 2009, many years ago, but it was a good year. It was the year
Yes.
that went and won the Grand National
Grand National,
the
yeah.
following month. But yeah, it was a very good day. That we had 2 winners and 2 seconds, and including a first and second in the plate. And I think it was sort of about 15 lengths back to the third, and the pair of them came down the hill and upsides and jumped the last upsides. That was quite something.
Yes, stay with you forever.
I think we that was the plate, and then we won the per temps. I think a couple of races later, and
yes,
and we had something else that was second in another race all on the same day.
Wow, what a day! What a day! Well, what a year, I guess. And then winning the national. I mean, that must have been that. Is that the highlight? It must have been.
For sure. Yeah.
Career, it must be.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, the Grand National. I mean, the word itself, Grand National, has a meaning, the world over, really. So it's if you tell anybody, the postman or well, actually, our postman's got a share in one of our syndicates.
Oh, really? How brilliant!
Best example to use, but yeah, everybody sort of
the Grand National, don't they?
Yeah.
Have you got any? And I should know this, but I'm a bit behind with everything. Have you got any entered for the national?
We have, but I have to say I don't think we're going to make the cut.
No.
So yeah, I think we're unlikely to feature this year.
Yeah. Oh well, next year. So the festival's going to feel, I think, probably more electric than ever this year, isn't it? As the last 2 years have been sort of blighted with either COVID having arrived or COVID last year.
Yeah.
I think, are you all as trainers, do you think, feeling that as well, or is it maybe it's just us that's been deprived of going last year?
For sure.
So we're all
absolutely desperate. For sure. It's last year was extraordinary. Partly because the Irish won everything, but partly because there was nobody there to cheer them in.
No, it must have been very, very weird.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I have to say it was slightly less stressful actually.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because you didn't have everybody asking you every 5 minutes, whether you're going to have a winner or something.
Yeah. No, I'm sure.
Or passing unsolicited comments on how poorly your last runner had performed.
Yeah. Yes.
So it was quite nice not to have all of that, but at the same time, it is the pinnacle of life in the Cotswolds as we know it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Venetia, you and Charlie Deutsch have become a fantastic team. How much involvement does Charlie have in the planning for the horses' campaigns and the sort of day-to-day working of the horses? Is he there a lot?
Yes, he is. He rides out most days. He probably rides out 4 days a week.
Okay.
And he'll be very much involved with all the schooling.
Yeah.
And certainly I'll ask him, his opinion if I'm, thinking about sort of doing something different or whatever.
Yes.
But, he wouldn't necessarily, be involved with the actual day-to-day planning and race selections.
No.
If he wants to come and burn the midnight oil at 10 o'clock at night and help me going through the form of the races, he's very welcome. But I think he needs
that to you. Yeah.
He's got a very important job to do, and I don't want to make it any more taxing for him.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find that you get affected particularly by the pressure? Where, with Cheltenham sort of getting nearer and nearer, do you find yourself sort of
Well, maybe I should be, but I'm not really, actually.
No.
You know, as I said earlier, I think, you know, that what they've done so far has been absolutely fantastic, you know, and you know, yes, we've got horses going there with chances, but the pressure that I feel and I feel uncomfortable with, although it comes with the territory, is, you know, as if you've got a hot favourite, unfavoured or something like that, you know, where you're expected to win, and if you don't, well, that's, you know, what's gone wrong there then, you know,
when they're favourites, actually. You don't
but really... that's the sort of the pressure situation.
Yes. Is there a particular race you would really love to win at the festival?
Oh gosh, any of the grade ones would go down very nicely.
Yes, that would be fantastic, wouldn't they?
I wouldn't be too fussy.
No.
Anyone would be very nice, thank you.
What apart from you, of course, but what British trainer would you like to see becoming champion trainer if it wasn't you?
Oh gosh.
I mean, they're all sort of a lot of good mates.
Well, Nigel's great mate.
Yes.
And we're sort of been sparring for 4th and 5th place in the trainers' table this season.
Yes.
And I nosed ahead of him a week ago, but he had a good weekend last weekend, which we did.
Okay. Well, might be able to nose back ahead, you know, maybe next week.
Yeah, well, Cheltenham changes everything.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. And do you think the Brits will ever beat the Irish with festival winners?
Of course they will. Of course they will. Yeah.
Do you think this year actually could be a good chance, couldn't it?
I think this year it'll be very tough, and I think it's going to be tough, you know, in the immediate future. But you know, you don't have to look back very far. You know, when you know, the Irish were getting meagre pickings at the festival.
Yeah.
You know, and everything's cyclical. You know, so you know, at the moment, you know, the balance of power, you know, is across the Irish Sea. You know, but that won't last forever.
No.
And you know, I don't think it'll be long before, you know, the balance will swing our way.
Yes.
You know, I don't think it's going to be this year, but you know, I'm sure it won't be long.
No. Oh, well, interesting. What are your predictions? Do you have predictions for the Gold Cup and the Champion Hurdle?
Well, the Champion Hurdle is not rocket science to predict honeysuckle.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a given.
Yes.
I'm too directly involved with the Gold Cup to
I know, to want to comment on that. Fair enough.
No, exactly.
Fair enough. And who do you think is your biggest champion chase threat?
Well, most of them. You know, we are an outsider. You know, our fellow Funeral Civil won the Game Spirit at Newbury, which is an acknowledged champion chase trial.
Yeah.
But you know, he's got it all to do. You know, it's a big challenge. But Chaka Bossoir, you know, Willie reckons, you know, he's the most talented 2-miler he's had for many a year. But you know, he doesn't always manage to get it together at the festival. Who knows? Whereas it's a fierce contest, like everything.
Yeah. Of course.
The fact that we're going there with a squeak and you know, stranger things have happened. You know, you get luck in running, you get, you know, unfortunate luck in running, and you know, what will be will be. But
what will be will be. Well, very good luck next week.
Thank you.
And I really hope they all run well, and I hope you have some winners.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for chatting.
Not at all,
really kind of you.
No, pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.